but they obviously have to win tonight. And I think they probably have to win similarly, not by 40, but in that they jump out on them early.
So,
well, if they blow them out, then now
that's a
really
different story.
But to your Shea point, 10 for 27 in game 1. We know he didn't shoot well in that one. And then game 3, 4 for 13.
Yeah.
So they do bother him. Like 2 of the 3 games, he hasn't shot well.
Ant averages 35 points in game 4s. It's the most of any player in the history of the NBA.
That's a weird one. The game 4s thing. Like,
It's Ant, Booker, Jordan, Jerry West, and KD. So
some of those, a good number of those have been closeouts for them, right? Because they've had some sweeps. Well, they swept Phoenix last year.
he should come. Look how muscular Durant looks there. Holy cow!
That is.
You know what? Get rid of that narrative that he couldn't bench.
That does not.
And look how skinny Jordan looks. We have skinny, must be Jordan or young Jordan. And then, I don't know, Photoshop Durant. Go ahead.
Meanwhile, let's head back to Indy. Palou wins again. He's dominated all year. He's won 5 of the last 6 races. This one, the milkiest, passing Marcus Ericsson, who later got, penalized and basically came in last. 14 laps to go, never lost the lead. Nick, you called this one. Palou is your guy and a friend of the show. He'll be on tomorrow. But you did call this.
Well, yeah. I mean, listen, the guy... Going into Indy, they had run 5 races. He had won 4 of them. He came in second in the other one.
No, if
this idea, no.
I called that, you'd be like, well,
no,
Captain
you went
Easy
with
stance would have been all on the screen.
Except you were
5 or 6 races.
But the narrative around him was that he couldn't win on ovals. And listen, I think the audience knows it's not as if this show or we have been, decades-long diehard IndyCar fans. But when we knew we were going there, you start researching it, you start talking to people, you start learning more things about it. And Palou should have won this race a couple years ago. And on pit road, a Dutch driver who was damn near in last place spun out and clipped him. Or else he probably... So the reason I kept bringing that up when we were out there was it's not as if he had always just done terribly at the Indy 500. He was in a position where he probably was going to win it a few years ago. So you had all of that. You then had the added element, which is the only driver who you maybe could argue is better than him on merit at this racetrack in particular, was starting in dead last.
Yeah, dead last.
And
that wasn't great.
And that was Newgarden. And by the way, he made a nice push.
Yeah.
Like, he made it look like he was going to have a real fighting chance. But, yeah. So, my number 1 guy won. My second guy, Sato, led the most laps. I'm basically, added to the list, IndyCar expert.
Our friend of the show, Kyle Kirkwood, he improved the most from the poll. He improved 17 spots, but then he also got
disqualified.
Hit with some sort of violation. Yeah. He's in the back.
Tough day for Kyle Larson. Going for the double.
Yeah.
Didn't finish in Indy, didn't finish in Charlotte.
He says he might not do it in again.
Oh,
well,
really?
he's tried twice.
Yeah.
What did you think of? I want to hear what you thought of Newgarden's performance.
I thought it was a valiant performance. He didn't throw his team under the bus.
Wild.
But there was an element where he's like, team sport. It was a little bit like
throwing your team under the bus.
No, but he's like, it's a team sport.
I
don't know enough about IndyCar to say he threw the team under the bus.
What do you mean? Do you know enough about people?
If SGA scores 41 tonight on great shooting, and they get beaten by 12, and they ask him what went wrong, and he's like,
hey, team sport.
Team sport.
It's a team sport.
But hold on.
What would you think?
SGA is, I don't even think, the right example. I think it's if Carlos Alcaraz underperforms at the French Open.
No, that's not what it's like at all.
That's
what do you mean? What it's like at all.
They have a team?
You're not even allowed to coach.
I would say that's different. That is different.
Okay.
That's one of the worst examples I've ever heard on the show. They got to carry their own bags back.
To Wilds' point, Newgarden does have a point.
Oh, yeah.
If your guys in the pit crew don't take care of business.
Right. Which is why
SGA scored 100.
No.
Man.
No,
that was 108, 104.
Listen, and that's why, and we saw that amazing.
He would be right, actually, right?
We saw that amazing trophy when we were out there, and that's why they carve all of the team members' faces on the trophy.
Hey, it is.
Not just no, they don't. They carve the driver's face on the trophy.
Well, what are you going to put? How big do you want the trophy?
I was about to say,
how big do you want the trophy? 30 people on the trophy?
This is, hold on.
Think it'll be as big as a building?
KW.
It's been 109 years.
You know that him having the car malfunction the way it did, and then right after the race saying it's a team sport, is unequivocally, maybe it's right as Bruce said it, throwing his team under the bus. You know that. Just because you talked to him for 5 minutes 2 days ago doesn't mean you can't admit it.
He has a high,
He threw it.
He didn't throw the team under the bus. Not throwing the team under the bus. If the team didn't do a good job, I got to drive the car. I'm not in charge of everything else.
But
you already screwed me over with the attenuators.
We know that. Everybody in IndyCar, every fan knows that. You don't need to say it.
Well, made for good content. I'll ask below tomorrow. Hey, is it team sport? You'll say, yeah. Eagles, top 5 of all time.
He's supposed to say it because he won. When you win, you say everyone did it.
Yes.
When you fail, you say I did it.
Yeah, maybe I should have gotten out there and hopped out of the car and done my own pit stops. Next on FS1 on the Fox Sports Channel on Sirius XM. Yeah,
You gotta let it drip.
You like
It should.